Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Low Budget Podcast. I'm Priscilla.
I'm Deanna.
And we're here to talk about Season 8, Episode 4 of Real Housewives of Potomac. It was called In a Pickle. And, the main event is Karen's pickleball event.
You mean Mrs. Pickle?
Mrs. Pickle, yep. There's kind of a lot to talk about. So we're just going to jump right in, get over some of the other stuff that happened, before the big scene of the episode. So we start with the new girl, Nneka, picking her husband, Ike, up from the airport. They're just talking more about he travels and they're trying to have a baby and they're trying to get their schedule right. Karen calls and invites her to a healing game of pickleball. And, they graciously accept, of course, even though, of course, neither of them know what it is. And so they start talking about Wendy, how aggressive her and her mom and her sister have been. And they show this scene where Ike's cousin is talking to them on Facebook. I think later we learn her name is like Lieb or Lebo or Liba or something like that. Hopefully it's in my notes later. But she basically said that Wendy felt, that's the weird thing about all of this, is it's so much secondhand, third hand, he said, she said. So Nneka's husband's cousin is on FaceTime saying that Wendy said, or that Wendy felt like Nneka was using her name for clout, which that in itself is already like, we need to hear where that actually came from. You can't go around just claiming to know other people's feelings. Like, did Wendy tell somebody directly that she felt like she didn't like Nneka because she was using her name for clout?
I know. It's like, is she saying that Wendy told her sister told the cousin told the husband? Like, I don't know. It's just like a lot of...
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. She's basically saying that Wendy tried to keep her off of the show. And then it's revealed that her husband, quote, knows Eddie. We're going to be talking a lot about the difference between knowing somebody and...
knowing of somebody.
Yeah. And says that they went to college together, University of Maryland, but that when Shrinegate happened, Eddie unfollowed him on social media, which we later find out this is Facebook. I feel like that's like an important distinction to make. So...
Wait, really quick. Did Juan also go to the University of Maryland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But apparently it sounds like he went before Ike and probably before Eddie. I think Juan is in his 40s and I think they're probably still in their late 30s.
Okay.
And Ike says, do I ask him why he unfollowed me? I put LOL in parentheses. And she goes, absolutely not, which is funny because, of course, later she is the one to bring that up. I would like to talk about this a little bit now, actually, before we get to the fight between the two guys, actually, about it. What do you think about...
I think this is so stupid. Let me just start off by saying that. Because, first of all, if you know of somebody, like when I was in high school, I probably was like friends / following everyone I knew on Facebook, mm-hmm. right? Like everyone's following everyone. You just like know all these people. But there's a lot of people that like, I know who they are. We went to the same school, but like, I don't know them. We don't talk to each other. I don't like want to see really, I don't really care to see what they're doing. They don't care to see what I'm doing. And like unfollowing people is not that uncommon. Not to mention, we're not even talking about a high school. We're talking about a college, which is even bigger. It's even more people. It's like way more networking. And like, I don't think that's that weird. Second of all, I feel like they're just putting so much meaning into this when, like, I don't even know. First of all, I don't think they even noticed that he unfollowed him. I think that maybe they're friends, and then at some point, or like they're friends on Facebook. Then maybe at some point, Eddie unfriended him, or whatever happened, but they just happened to look because of all this drama, and they're like, oh, see, he unfollowed me. And it's like, I would be surprised if that was what was happening. Like, I don't know why that would be the case, but, like, I feel like they're just making this big, huge deal about something that really... First of all, isn't a big deal, and second of all, isn't even really relevant to what they are accusing Wendy's family of. But I feel like they're just trying to use that as fuel to be like, oh, see, like, they're all just, like, coming after us. And it's like, I don't think that this is the evidence that you think it is.
Unfollowing someone is not coming after them. I'm sorry.
I just think it's a little bit weird. I think it's sad, and I feel like you'll see later, too, like, Eddie looks he looks uncomfortable because he's probably like, I don't want to have to call you out and be like, why do you care this much about this stupid thing, you know? I feel like he's trying to be like cool to an extent, but he's like, this is so weird that you're like getting so worked up about this.
No, it literally seems like they felt like they were cool or something for knowing these people who were on a TV show, and then these people are like, we don't really know you guys. And not to mention, they've kind of said the same thing. Like,
they keep going back and forth, though, because I feel like in this opening scene where Aneka and Ike are talking,
she was making it sound like they were friends.
Like they knew each other. Yeah, but then later she says, oh, he knows of him. Like, those are two completely different things. That is not the same thing.
1,000,000%.
She's making it sound like they hung out and like
when asked directly, does Eddie know him? She said, well, he knows of him. That's not the same thing.
That is not the same thing.
That's not the same thing at all.
That's not the same thing. And
I would say that I know of like most of the people in like my high school class, for example, but it doesn't mean we all know each other. That's like a different thing. And we could be friends. We could be friends on Facebook and not know each other really that well. Like,
also, like, people need to decenter themselves, because I'm sure that there's people that you know of or that you feel like you may know, but they don't necessarily know you.
Yes.
Like, enough to like be like, oh, I know this person. And like, I don't know. I mean, Eddie really
like
doesn't
her
strike
sister's Wendy's sister's friend is this lady's husband's cousin. That is not a close connection. Like, that's not even, you know what I mean? Like, if it was like one of your friends or something, like, I won't name names, but like just, you know, a friend that like I've seen at my house or something like that, but like I've never sat down and talked to, it wouldn't be like shady or mean for me to say like, oh, I don't really know her. And that's what I'm talking about, a one person, like my sister's friend. We're talking about a much further connection from Wendy.
I just feel like, I mean, I think you and I definitely put less meaning into like social media stuff than other people do. But like in general, like when I was on like Instagram, for example, I wouldn't have even noticed if somebody followed or unfollowed me. I would never know. Except for maybe 5 to 10 people who like all of my posts. If they all of a sudden stopped, like maybe I would notice that. Mm-hmm. Like maybe, but those would be like my closest friends, and I'm like, oh, that's weird that they. I don't know. Like that's the only thing I can think of. I've never like looked through my following and been like, oh, like this person used to follow me. Like I would never even remember something like that.
No, I've unfollowed hundreds of people, and honestly, 99% of the time, it's not been personal. It's probably like my version of taking a social media break, honestly, where it's just like, unless we were really like actively engaging with each other, I've gone through phases where I've unfollowed people. And honestly, for the most part, I've taken comfort in the fact that they probably wouldn't notice. And like stuff like this makes me wonder like how many people really keep track of things like this. I mean, my biggest takeaway of that entire conversation was that's super embarrassing. So on more than one occasion, she says that he unfollowed after the shrine situation. So by saying that, if you're really telling the truth, then you're admitting that he was basically checking every day to make sure that one day he was there and that the very next day that he wasn't. And that is loser behavior.
And that also...
admit it is even like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
But also, they're also calling themselves out to be like, okay, so it seems like if you were keeping tabs on the fact that you guys were following each other, your friends or whatever, then you probably were telling people, oh, I know this guy who's on this TV show. Like,
yes.
Which is like, it's fine. Like,
and then you were like, look, we're even Facebook friends.
Yeah, like, and I think that's fine to be like, oh, I went to college with this person and like they're on this, like, I don't think that's that weird. But you're putting so much meaning into this and then being like, oh, Wendy's family's being weird about us doing this. I'm like, you guys are kind of being weird about it. I don't know what's true about the shrine. I have no idea what's true about all that stuff. But like, the way you guys are acting is really telling. Like, you guys, I don't know. I feel like they wanted to have their own little like story of like, oh, you know, we're friends with the OSFOs, and like you're not, which is fine.
Right.
But now you're just making it so weird, like, I don't know. And I also don't like, I mean, Wendy was really friendly to Aneka at the party. Eddie also is a very friendly person, and he just introduced himself to him like, I don't know, I just don't see why they would.
No, what's weird about them, and like, I don't even want to get caught talking about it too much, because we'll talk about it at the end, but I think they just can't really decide what it is that they're doing. Yeah, like, on one hand, she's very obviously coming for Wendy, and it's really hard not to feel like the usual people have some kind of a hand in that. Like, Robin and Giselle, I feel like, are... It's interesting, because Giselle is actually trying to stay the furthest away from it, which I think is, like... Even she's like, I'm not accusing anyone of voodoo, but, like... I don't know. I want to make a point about that, too. Like, this idea that, like, voodoo is, like, black magic, and because some people, like, that's their actual religion, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's a very, like, ignorant, racist American type of thing to be like African magic, like voodoo religion is wrong or scary and all that kind of stuff. It honestly makes me really uncomfortable, to be completely honest. Like, this show, it's irresponsible. And it just, but like, you know what I mean? There's something really weird about somebody who's talking about how she's so proud to be Nigerian and things like that, sort of like, I don't know, almost perpetuating like a weird stereotype against somebody else who's Nigerian.
Yeah.
Like, somebody used the example of, like, you know, people who say that, like, Asians eat weird animals or something like that. And then, like, two of the same type of Asian person coming onto a show and one of them accusing the other of doing that. It's like...
Yeah.
It doesn't sit right. It feels really weird. It feels like... And then on the other hand, though, she's trying to say, oh, this isn't a big deal. I still don't even have a problem with her. I don't even know her. I don't even know her well enough to have a problem with her. It's like, well, then what is it that you're doing right now?
I literally don't know.
Anyway. So, Giselle and Robin have a meetup. They debrief about their kids. Talking about the waiter. Who cares? Who cares? I think the only interesting thing that kind of happened is Giselle talking about an altercation that she had with Juan, I guess. She said that they had a live show in Atlanta and that her and Juan had words. And she basically wants to make sure that when that happens, like, her and Robin stay good. So Giselle says that he was yelling at her. And it's funny, though, because, of course, Giselle said something like, well, he said that I was doing blah, 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 blah. And in that...
That's basically...
And she's like, in my mind, that's yelling. And I'm like, okay, Giselle. Like, it's funny because I feel like he probably was yelling, but Giselle's, like, explanation of why, you could just say, like, he was raising his voice at me.
I don't even think... I feel like he probably wasn't yelling, but I feel like he was talking, like,
he probably
in a stern, like, serious way.
Don't care, like, that,
you know,
thing.
Like, I don't know, and it just... And then, like, Robin's stomach, he's like, oh, well, he's hard of hearing. I was like, okay.
No, someone said that Juan could bite a child and Robin would make up some kind of an excuse. Like, well, he has diabetes, so, like, you know, it's like...
He has a lot of children flesh. It's like, it's literally, I don't care really about this at all. I mean, I thought it was interesting that Giselle was like, I'm not going to say what he said.
Oh, yeah.
But blah, blah,
very
blah.
Interesting. Very interesting. With the other people, you'll embellish and fill in all kinds of things that they said. But she did say one thing that he said, which was that he was a sexual dude. Did you catch that?
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
Like, what could have been the context for saying that?
He was a sexual dude, but he didn't, like, fuck this girl, basically. It's like...
Okay, why? So now are you saying you were, like, flirting and being sexual with this girl, but you didn't actually have sex with her?
Because then Robin said, well, he said he didn't put his in her
So they were like, sexting and shit. Like, is that what we're hearing? Like, there was some kind of sexual inappropriate line crossed, but it wasn't actually sex, which, like, there's a lot of gray area in between that, but, like...
I don't know. It's honestly stupid. I'm over it.
I know. It's just, like, I don't even want to care about it. She said that he said, I did not 4 times. And she felt like one would have been enough. But yeah, so then basically, despite Robin telling Nneka that what they talked about would stay between them for now, she relays this whole story to Giselle. And Giselle's takeaway is, oh, so Wendy wants to be the only person from that tribe that we know? I put 4 question marks. I was like, that feels like a really big leap.
Very.
And it's comments like that, you know, it's funny because I feel like people can seem very paranoid on the internet, like, Giselle and Robin are behind this, blah, blah, blah. When you make little comments like that, though, when you make this jump to something that you're obviously trying to get the audience to think, when it hasn't gotten there naturally, that's what it seems like. When it seems like you're trying to tell us, wow, that really adds up to seeming like Wendy wants to be the only person from her tribe that we know. It didn't sound like that at all. No. Nothing about that story did.
What I'm thinking now, especially, and obviously we'll go into more detail later, but especially after seeing Nneka and I at, like, the event and everything, I'm just wondering if there's some more reasons that, like, I think there is some truth to this, whatever that Nneka is saying, but I'm wondering if, like, Wendy doesn't want to be associated with her or, like, affiliated with her. To be like, oh, they're, like, friends, and they're blah, 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 because of something weird that they're doing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, as people.
That would be interesting.
Like, you know, every time there's a new housewife, they always are like, oh, my life is so great, we have all this, blah, 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 and then, like, slowly, it all unravels. I feel like we're kind of already starting to see that with her.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
And so I feel like I'm wondering if Wendy and Eddie are like trying to toe the line of like, we don't want to be affiliated with you and be like, oh, you guys are our friends, but we also don't want to necessarily say the reason,
right?
Because it's probably going to expose something that they don't want them to expose. You know? So
I like that theory. I guess mine, just from the information that I have so far, feels more along the lines of Aneka is like a fan and wanted to be on the show. She wanted to use her very distant connection. Again, her husband's cousin is friends with Wendy's sister, to try to say that they're friends and to get on the show. Wendy didn't, she didn't reciprocate. She didn't, like, help this person that she doesn't know get on the show. And now there's hard feelings about it from Aneka's end. Mm-hmm. And I think Wendy is just more like, oh, cool, like, you managed to get here, like,
yeah,
let's see what happens. The thing with her mom, I think it would just make so much more sense for Wendy to have left the party feeling some type of way, to have told her mom, and then her mom or her sister said something on her behalf. But Aneka is very, I feel like she's pretty adamant that this happened before the party, and that was why she expected Wendy to be aggressive. Again, using that word aggressive against her so much, there's just these little, like, dog whistle things that she's doing that are like, why are you doing this against somebody that, again, you claim you don't even know well enough not to like? So then why would you attack someone, like,
it's literally so weird,
of your own culture with, like, weird cultural stereotypes, like this, like, competition amongst all of them of, like, who's the most Christian, like, you know, the, like, colonized religion of Africa. It's just all so dark. It's all so dark.
It's all so dark, and it's also weird because it's like basically I feel like she and her husband are making it sound like it's weird that Eddie and Wendy are acting like they met them for the first time in those two instances. Like, oh, like, introducing, hey, I'm Wendy, hey, I'm Eddie, like, whatever. And, like, but it's like, you obviously didn't know her well enough to say, hey, I remember I saw you at this party.
Say, like, you know, if I felt that way, I would just say,
like, oh, good to see you, I saw you at such and such.
I would say birthday. It's nice to see you again if they said, oh, have we met? And you're like, oh, it was really brief. Or I could just be like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. I think I saw you with blank this one time. Like,
or, like, my cousin's friends with your sister. Something, like... And it's like, you don't even feel comfortable doing that, so that tells me you guys really don't know each other. Also, like, it's not that weird.
She's like, I saw you at a birthday party once, and, like, your eyebrows were kind of moving, so, like, I didn't want to smile.
Like, so from across the room,
so I didn't want to... It wasn't even that she said she wouldn't talk to her, she said she wouldn't smile at her, because she's like, I was going to smile at Wendy, but then I just felt like her eyes, like, looked mad. Okay.
And it's like, this happened to me recently, where I saw somebody who I had met before, but it's like, they just said, they introduced themselves. I'm like, hey, I introduced myself too. I'm not going to, like, make it weird. It doesn't have to be a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh my God, I just remembered that time. Remember that time that my friend's friend, like, insisted that she didn't know me?
Yeah, that was weirder.
No, she was doing that to be antagonistic.
That was weirder because, like, I feel like with this person that I'm talking about, if I had said, like, oh yeah, I met you at this time, she probably would have been like, oh, okay. Like, at least pretend to play along. Even if you don't remember, you just, like, say, oh, okay, yeah. But, like, I'm not going to even, I didn't say anything. It's not even worth it. Like, I just was like, oh, hey, good to meet you. Like, whatever, and, like, it's just so funny because
no, I've had somebody like maliciously act like they don't remember me, and I mean, I don't know, it's possible that she did it. I had several examples of us hanging out for, like, hours at a time, though, in groups of, like, 3 people.
The weird part to me is, like, even if she didn't actually remember,
but it was so impolite just to not act
side
like
of it. It'd be like, if someone's like, oh, we went to this thing, no, I'd be like, no. Just say yes. And, oh, yeah, like, you just pretend.
So, like, honestly, it's like, maybe Aneka was afraid that something like that was going to happen, but honestly, that's not the worst thing that could happen. Like, I didn't really feel embarrassed about that. I felt kind of like, I feel like
would have done that. I feel like if she would have said, oh, I
don't think that she would have either.
Like, oh, yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, worst case scenario, if she did, it's really not fine, that bad. Like, it's honestly kind of funny. Like,
it's way less embarrassing than what you're doing now.
Way less. Like, if someone doesn't remember you, like, it's honestly not that big of a deal.
And
it's
later on, when, like, Eddie introduces himself to Ike kind of, like, rolls his eyes, and it's like, what do you want him to do, though? Like, because you didn't say hi to him.
Yeah, or why don't you
said, oh, hey, Eddie,
or why don't you say, like, oh, you don't remember me?
Anything.
Yeah.
He's like, ugh, like, rolling his eyes. And,
I didn't catch that. That's so weird.
He shook his hand. Like, Eddie went across all the guys and was like, hey, Eddie, like, introducing himself. And then Ike was just like, just all annoyed. I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. You could just say, hey, Eddie, good to see you. Like,
so weird.
Like, it wasn't even like Eddie went up to him and said, hey, I've never met you before. Like, what's your name? He just, like, was going across all the guys and saying, like, hi and saying, my name's Eddie, basically, was what he was doing. Like, it was a very normal thing. It really wasn't that serious, but he was mad.
No, they're handling it, like, they just seem much stranger than...
So strange.
Wendy and Eddie are handling it, which is... I mean, I haven't even heard Eddie talk about Ike yet. It'll be nice when he does, like... He's like, oh yeah, we were at a party together once or something. I don't know. So, yeah, you know, Giselle, though, said, I used to be married to a pastor, so I know that shrines are nothing to mess with. Like, okay, whatever. And then, but she does say she hopes it isn't true. I don't know. It's all weird. Someone was saying, like, you know, it's, like, too much if Giselle doesn't even want to, like, get involved.
Well... Yeah, seriously. But also, it's not even really what Aneka initially said. Aneka said that she said, like, she's claiming that Wendy's mom said, do you know what happens to people that, like, I pray for and people I don't? Like, that's basically what she said. Which is kind of, like, it's just threatening, right? It's basically saying, like,
and actually, that's not, she wasn't saying I prayed against you, right? I think she just said, is that saying, said, like, if I pray for you, something good will happen and I'm not going to pray for you?
I thought it was like that, or if she prays for something bad to happen to you. Like, cause I'm pretty sure she said, like, people I've prayed against, like, something bad has happened to them, basically.
I want to hear from Wendy's mom what she said.
I know. We need to know from the spiritual mom what is going on. But she didn't even say, now I feel like she, like, her and Robin were talking, and you know how, like, when you're telling someone a story and you guys kind of hype each other up, like, they're like, oh, so she put you in a shrine, she did all this and that, and now she's repeating the story as, oh, she put me in a shrine. It's like, that's not what you said that she said initially, though. Mm-hmm. That's completely different from what...
No, she keeps changing it a tiny bit, because she said, you can't put names in shrines, so she put, like, a picture. Did she say she put a picture, and she didn't use the name, but then later she's like, after she told us our name was in the shrine, then Eddie unfollowed, and, like... Anyway, okay. We'll talk about it more soon. So we just have a Candace scene with her mom, Dot. You know, Candace says that they still tussle, but they're better than they were before. We get this flashback of all their greatest hits. Her mom insulting Candace and hitting her in the head with a purse. They're talking about the tour, how much she had to spend. And she said Chris was screaming at her about the money and that she can't spend that much anymore. And then her mom asked if Chris is even making any money with any of his jobs. Just the usual Chris shade.
She's like, I'm not throwing shade. She's like rolling her eyes. She's like...
Yeah. Candace said their biggest arguments were about his work schedule, so he left that job. And then I said, right when I was thinking about it, she goes, yeah, and yes, it is a double standard. And I was like, because you're gone all the time now, right? And they talk about Robin, and Candace says she doesn't know how to feel. She thinks Robin started on the right side, and then she started humping the fence. And Dot basically advises them all to talk at the event. Okay, so yeah, I didn't realize actually most of this episode was the event. We're already there.
Which I kind of liked. I was like, let's get into it. Let's not
waste I don't need to see like any shopping scenes today. So...
No offense, Grace.
You know, Ray and Event dressed like pickles for the event. Karen said that she's trying... The tone that she's trying to set is nothing but fun. That is a lie, but I respect it. Well, actually, you know, that's funny, because now that I'm thinking about it, Karen really didn't do anything to, like, instigate the fight between the two of them.
No.
I don't remember who brought something up.
Ashley brought it up.
Yeah, Ashley did bring it up.
Which...
Standard.
No surprise.
So, basically, when Giselle arrives, Karen says in a confessional that she hasn't seen Jason and that she knows that Jamal lived in the phone, but she hasn't even seen Jason in the phone. So she doesn't think he exists. Karen allows Mia a sort of double air kiss. It's a little closer to a hug. And I learned about staying out of the kitchen in pickleball. Did you know that?
I know nothing. I mean, I learned about it in the episode,
me too. So, you know, everyone's arriving. Eddie and Wendy are matching white and pink. Candace had to come solo. She ignores Giselle, and Giselle says that she doesn't speak to Candace. Roll back the tape. And then they roll the tape of Candace, like, making fun of Giselle's uterus. And she says that nothing good will ever come from her talking to Candace. Candace said her choice of words had a big effect on her marriage, so fuck that bitch forever. I want to discuss really quick, like, I mean, we've probably talked about it so many times, but I just don't understand really what's going to happen to this show. Like, it does just not feel like there are enough friendships on this cast, or there's so many, like, deep feuds of people who are like, I am never talking to somebody again. How are you supposed to have a Housewives show with that?
I was also kind of a little bit confused about, because this should be after Girls Trip, right?
Yeah.
And they did kind of interact.
They did not make up, though. It got worse. After Giselle accused her of stealing over, like, the entire time.
God. I forgot about that. Okay,
like, right off of being accused of colorism, Giselle decided to act like an actual cop the entire season that they were on that girls' trip. It was disturbing to watch, frankly.
It was disturbing to watch, but what I was trying to say was that I feel like Candace I feel like Candace has grown a lot from, like, her first season being on the show, and I feel like she has gotten to the point where if Giselle was, like, normal, or, like, some amount of normal to her, she would reciprocate in being normal. She wouldn't be friends with her, but she could, like, be around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the only people who are really making these, like, solid,
no, the
like,
people
I'm
who
not
are, like,
speaking to
absolutely
you, are,
refused.
like, Giselle and Robin.
Yes. And even Robin, honestly, I think if Giselle was not there,
she could be
I think that Giselle leaving the show is what could change everything.
Yeah.
I think without Giselle there, even Mia and Wendy might be okay. Even Robin and Wendy might be okay. I think that, like, when you have one person just, like, holding out super hard, and now Giselle's doing that with Wendy and Candace, that's too much.
Yeah.
And she's not really, like, the one-liners have becoming less and less frequent for years.
Right.
I really just don't know that the show can, like, carry on like this. Like, it's just, I don't know, like, a little bit of tension is okay, but when there's an event where, like, half the people won't even, like, say hello to each other,
yeah,
it's just getting a little bit ridiculous.
It's pretty weird. Yeah.
So Ashley arrives with someone named Stuart, and she starts twerking. Karen, like, puts them all on teams with people that hate each other, basically. So it's, like, Mia, Wendy, Karen, Mia, Wendy, Ineka, and Robin are on one team, and then Ashley, Candace, Giselle, and Karen are on another team. Mm-hmm. It's like the super dramatic one and Robin entrance. They're the only ones in black. Robin's bottoms were not okay.
They were so weird.
They're not okay. Okay, here's what people, like, don't understand is, like, when it comes to any kind of, like, bikini bottom type look, covering more looks bad.
It makes her look like she's wearing a diaper.
Yes, it looks really bad.
It looks really weird.
Like, you had to commit to showing, like, full cheek and going for, like, some kind of a thong type of thing if that was what you were going to do. I don't even know why something like that existed.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Disgusting. It made me mad. I hated it.
It was so weird, and I feel like she thought it was, like, so hot, and I'm like...
Me too, and I feel like Juan was like, I hate this. Like, I liked it for that reason, that I felt like it probably mortified Juan.
It was pretty weird. It reminded me of, like a senior citizen trying to be hot. Like, something that grandma would wear. Try to be, like, hip or something. But it's, like, your whole butt, like...
All it was showing was, like...
I don't know. It was really weird. I know what she was going for, but...
It was not executed properly at all. Burn those, Robin. Like...
It was weird.
No. So they all react to Juan coming in confessional. Candace says she doesn't know what Robin's mad at her about, and then they show a bunch of headlines and tweets, including one that said recast, #RHOP. So, Karen called Robin a sheer Batman vagina in display or something like that.
That nobody wants.
Yeah.
Not even one.
So, you know, they all play, then they break for lunch, and, again, Kiarna shows up. Giselle says she kind of knows her, that she has a med spa, but she's just, like, mentioned once and then just, like, never again, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused by her.
Like, her presence. Yeah, me too. So then Juan storms out because Karen said Robin showed up even when they aren't in the best spot, and apparently that offends him.
And Ike
stormed out too.
We're going to get back to our game. That's what he said.
Like,
and I was like, this is a red flag. You're you're giving me weird vibes. Him storming out, like, it reminded me of a women's business type of thing. Oh, we're not getting involved. We're going to go back to our game.
Totally.
Following Juan of all people.
I also think he's, like, a fan of, like, Juan.
No, totally. He was like, I was like, you're going to follow Juan out in this situation. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I told you off camera this week that I learned that Juan was actually, like, college basketball famous. And, like...
What does that mean?
Like
he was so good?
Like, he was so good.
Oh.
Apparently, like, I heard that his school, University of Maryland, where him, Ike, and Eddie all went, like, he won the, I think it's an NCAA, like, championship for basketball, which is, like, I mean, the Super Bowl of college, you know? That, like, he won, and he was, like, the star player of the team. So, like, that he was, like, a big deal. So I feel like...
So why wouldn't Ike try to be like he knows him?
Because... he probably, like, I don't know, like, I think they probably feel like he's, like, a class above them or something. I don't fucking know. Like, when somebody mentioned to me that they, like, knew about Potomac basically because they knew about Juan, I was like, ew, Juan's actually, like, good at basketball? Like, he was, yeah, like.
Weird.
So, then, Ashley reiterates the whole Ineka Wendy situation, the thing that she took back. So Candace asks, okay, so are you guys good now? And Ineka's like, well, I don't even know her well enough to have a problem with her. And Wendy basically says the same thing at the same time. And Ineka goes, yeah, I just said that. So, like, you're repeating me now? And, like, is, like, looking at the others. And I was just like, oh, no, honey. Like, I was really, really trying, like, to keep an open mind about her. But, like...
I really, really wanted to like her. I wasn't even open-minded. I really wanted to like her.
You wanted to like her, yeah.
I categorized her in, like, oh, I like her. And then just, girl,
like, that's so embarrassing. Like, yes, at the same time, you guys are saying that you guys don't even know each other well enough to have a well, I just said this, so you're repeating me, and it's like, wow, you're, like, immediately combative, like, right off the bat. It's so weird.
And like, I feel like even the other women there who, they live for this kind of stuff, this is, like, what they do, they were all kind of confused, like, how it...
started.
Escalated to, they were like, wait, what's, they were like, couldn't even, like, catch onto what was happening.
Like, Candace literally probably just thought she was going to say, so you guys are good then, and that they were going to be like, of course, like, we don't even know. And it's funny because, like, that's what I said is, like, at this moment it became clear that Ineka wants to have a problem. You know, this isn't any kind of misunderstanding or anything like that, because another way to interpret that situation if you didn't have bad intentions would have just been to be like, oh, okay, we're in agreement, like...
Fresh start.
Yeah, we both don't know each other well enough to have a problem. Like, of course we don't. And that could have been it. But you decided to go with, oh, you're repeating me now, and literally turn it into, like, a fighting type of dynamic. So then you see Wendy completely switch and is, like, now, like, on the defensive, like, this person wants to argue with me, right? So, that's when Ineka says, you didn't want me to be a part of this group, and your mom called my in-law and has a shrine. And Wendy says, who is your in-law? I never called her. And so I went over this scene again because I was like, what was said, right? So Ineka first said that her mom called.
Yes.
But then she said that it was Wendy's sister and that Wendy was on the other line.
Yes.
Which is like, how could you possibly know? The most that you could know is that you could claim is that Wendy's sister said that Wendy was on the other line. But that's not something that you would... Like, a lot of the stuff that you're saying is stuff that you could not possibly know firsthand. Somebody would have had to tell you. And that's, like, every part of this story, right?
It's honestly just, like, too exhausting to try to keep up with, like, what exactly she's trying to say happened.
Yeah, so they're arguing, they're cussing at each other, and she's like, well, let me just clear it up right now. And then I think Wendy said, well, like, fucking clear it then. And then she said, I'm clearing it up right now, bitch. What the fuck are you talking about? It's funny because the internet said that her Valley voice dropped in this moment. And Karen and Giselle are, like, giggling about it, and it's funny because Mia looks really triggered, like, because she's been on the receiving end of, like, this version of Wendy so much, she just keeps, like, touching her hair and, like, looking at everyone else, like, oh, crazy, and just piping, and she's like, oh, crazy? She said, I was crazy, too. Oh, and a bird brain. It's like, why are you hitting yourself, Mia? Just, you don't have to, like, you don't have to pipe in with all the insults that she's said to you right now, you know? And Wendy said that her attack failed. It's a flop. And Robin holds up her paddle, and she's, like, talking to Ashley behind it. And she's like, I know this story, and Wendy isn't letting her get out the whole story. What else has she supposedly not gotten out?
The whole story.
Like, that Wendy didn't want her on the show? Like... And again, I don't even think it's that deep. I think Wendy just didn't want to help somebody that she doesn't know get on the show, which is fine. Like, she didn't want to claim them, and I think I'm starting to see why. Aneka's giving, like... cringe vibes, try hard, fan vibes.
It's also weird, like, now seeing how many times they say they know someone, they don't know someone, they're friends with someone, they know of someone. It's like, now I'm wondering if her cousin-in-law is even friends with Wendy's.
I know.
Like, do you know? How do you know?
Or maybe they just know of each other.
Like, I don't know.
So Candace says that she doesn't think Wendy should be responsible for what her family does. And Aneka's like, oh, so you think that this is right? And she's like, I'm not saying anything about that one way or the other. I'm just saying, like, even if this is true. And that's, like, my point, too. It's like, even if this is true, Wendy didn't actually do anything, though. So what exactly...
She was on the call. Like, she knows that.
If your intention is to just, like, find out why her family... You could have pulled her aside to talk to her about it. But no, you're yelling at her like you caught her doing something.
Right. Because
her mom and her sister supposedly called you. So Wendy says that shrine comment actually incriminates her in, like, reading that article that her and Ashley were talking about because that was mentioned in the article.
What?
Yeah. And then Ashley goes in a confessional and she's, like, mad that Wendy brought the article back up, even though you're the one who brought it up in the first place that started this whole conversation between them just now. But she was like, I thought it was kind of, like, unnecessary for her to, like, bring that back. What do you mean? It's all tied together, it sounds like. And, like, how could you possibly have the right to be mad about anything?
So I missed that part, but now I'm wondering if Aneka or somebody she knows or whoever was, like, leaking quote-unquote information to these blogs and be like, oh, well, Wendy is this and her mom has a shrine, da-da-da-da, and her family called her and was like, don't fucking do that.
I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that this article is really old, is what they were saying. Like, I think it's, like, a years old article. And then maybe she just got ideas from that. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't find it that hard to believe that a call happened. Although, I want to point out that when Wendy said show receipts, they show a screenshot of the supposed call. And people are pointing out on Twitter that for some reason... So, Susan, I guess, is Wendy's mom's name, right? But, like, why would her name, first of all, even be in your contacts, I think? But, like, okay, say you added it later so everyone could know that this is the person who called you. But the name Susan is, like, off-center from the little circle that goes above your name with initials. And the initials on the name are I-O.
Sketch.
Oh, my gosh. It stands for Evo Osu. I'm kidding.
I'm done.
I'm sorry. I'm, like, afraid to even use, like, that word because I'm like, isn't it a bad word?
I know, like, I don't know. But, yeah, it's sketchy. Also, wait, did she say that Wendy's mom called her or called her cousin?
Called her husband's cousin.
I mean, yeah, her husband's cousin.
Her in-law. Which is such a funny way to call your husband. Like, I don't think I've ever referred to my husband, and he has a lot of cousins. I've never referred to them as, like, my in-law. It's like...
I feel like you would say your in-laws, like, as a whole, like, his family, right? Like, his
and
in-laws.
Even that, I'm not sure his cousins really count as that. Like, I think of my... I don't know. I guess I think of my in-laws as, like... his parents.
Well, in-laws
and maybe, like, his siblings. But, like, you don't use the phrase cousin-in-law.
No, you don't use the phrase cousin-in-law. But I just mean if you're talking about that side of the family, you would say, like, your in-laws. Because that's your family by law.
Totally. I mean, like, you're his sister-in-law, right? But, like, him calling my cousin his cousin-in-law just, I don't know, it feels like a little bit of it. I just think it's a way of her making the connection seem a little closer than it is.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than keep saying my husband's cousin, because it sounds really stupid. That's, like, kind of like... It's like something people would say when they're making a joke about, like, someone they don't know. That I was like, oh, my husband's cousin's boyfriend or whatever, you know. She's like, my in-law. So, basically, they're all in confessional talking about whether they believe it or not or how they feel about it. Like, I forget sometimes how the cast of this show is, like, extremely religious.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ashley might be the only... maybe Mia's not mentioned religion super a lot either.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Robin. And see, now that I'm saying it, it's like just the few people that do, like, really go into it, though, right? It's like Giselle, Candace, Karen. and Wendy are, like, very much, like...
Spiritually spiritual.
Yeah. Wendy... Okay, so Wendy says, you know who I do want to work things out with? Mia. And then she pulls her to talk.
That was so weird.
So random. I know, that was really weird. It's funny because, like, it's usually, like, I think Wendy is in the right. There are things that she does weird when she's arguing that, like, I would never do.
Yeah. But I will say that while this was weird, I'd rather her, like, everyone's like, oh, she's trying to, like, diffuse, trying to deflect. But, like, I'd rather her do that than, like, get to this. Because, like, it's starting to get to that weird area where it's, like, she's doing some kind of weird stuff and then
she's strutting around.
And I'm like,
she's twirling.
Let's maybe not go there right now. So I was like, whatever, it's fine.
I agree.
But then honestly, it's funny because Karen literally said that Mia switches like a light switch, and literally the second that she talks to Wendy, then
she's like, yeah, we already talked about this. We're fine.
Yeah, and then the next scene she's talking to Nneka, and she's like, you guys really need to work this out. Like, you were at the table or wherever they were sitting, like, kind of like acting like you're on Nneka's side. Like, oh yeah, Wendy says this about me too. And all of a sudden you're like, you guys really should work this out. It's like,
but then
it just took that
But
conversation.
then as soon as she tells her about the unfollowing, she flips back and is like, oh, they do know them then. They do. Like, Mia can't make up her mind for shit. She's like, see, I'm not slow. I'm switching sides. Like, so, you know what? And it's funny because people are like, I believe in Nneka. Like, Wendy's acting weird. Like, blah, blah. And I do agree. I think Wendy wants her to stop talking. I do think that Wendy doesn't totally know what she's talking about. And I think that she feels like I need to talk to my mom and my sister and find out what happened before I keep talking about this.
I definitely believe that something happened.
Me too.
What happened, I'm not sure.
I don't think that Wendy exactly knows, and I think that's why she didn't really want her to keep talking, because her mom is crazy. And I'm sure that Wendy knows her mom did say some crazy shit, like, probably not anti-Christian shit, but, like,
but also, is Nneka saying, like, Nneka's basically making it sound like, since, like, let's say her story is true. She's saying that since Wendy's mom was mean to her cousin-in-law, then Wendy was also supposed to be mean to her? Yes. That's what you're basically saying.
Even though Wendy's saying to your face, I don't have a problem with you, I barely know you. Like, well, your mom did this. Like,
it's like she's trying to make Wendy look bad for not having beef with her, if whatever this is true or not. Like,
again, I don't even think she knows exactly what she's doing. She just wanted, like, a gotcha moment for Wendy and then, like, didn't really know what to do with it after. Like, usually you're supposed to have some kind of objective of, like, I'd like your family to stop calling me, or, like, whatever. You're just like, I don't even have a problem with her. I just, like, said this stuff. I don't know. Like, so.
Wait, also, did Nneka say whether or not she did try to claim she knew Wendy?
Wendy, okay, when Nneka explained it to Robin, she said, I don't know, she never said that they knew each other. I think she just said, like, maybe they've met once. I know Wendy said that she felt like her first time actually meeting her was at Ashley's party.
Right.
And then Nneka kind of was like, well, if that's what she wants to say. Like, I feel like she can't even really make up her mind. Like, I believe that maybe they've been, like, loosely introduced in, like, a sweeping type of way in a group or something like that, but they've never actually talked to each other.
Well, I know that. I think they're kind of on the same page on that. But she's saying that Wendy's family is accusing her of, like, using Wendy's name basically on the show. But I can't remember if she said or not whether she was doing that.
Oh.
You know, like, I don't know if she said, I never did that.
Oh,
I think she's just, like...
I think that she was. I think she was saying, like, I think she's just saying the stuff that she has said, which is, like, I vaguely know her in the sense that, like, I've been invited to the same parties as her, which is, like, not the same thing as knowing somebody. So Robin is telling Ashley how it's deflection 101, and I'm just like...
And Robin's like, we're not too dumb. Like, Robin, you're... Like, you would be the dumbest, but then there's Mia.
People saying that. I just think she's so excited that they're not talking about one, you know? So, like, Robin's just, like, talking a ton of shit in this scene. And it's just like,
also Karen's like, to Giselle, this is your fault. She's like, how is this my fault? You remember?
Oh, yeah.
You caused this.
She's like, get away from me. And then Ashley tells Robin that she thinks Wendy's avoiding Nneka. And I'm like, why wouldn't she? Like, this girl has been nothing but, like, really rude to her ever since they met. Like, of course she is, right? So Wendy is just like, yeah, like, so she's almost, like, looking to Mia for sympathy, which is super strange. Or she's like, she just called me a bitch. Like, you and I haven't even. And she's like, well, you know, maybe actually, we have. Yeah. So, they proceed to show everyone, like, every single Wendy toward Mia insult that has happened on the show.
She called her bitch so many times.
Oh, yeah. And Wendy basically tells Mia, like, that they can be fine now. And Mia's like...
And Wendy's just holding the wine bottle.
She's like, okay, yeah. So now Candace is talking to Aneka, and she said it's sad to have, like, the two Nigerian girls fighting. And that's when the whole, like, fire thing happens, right? So then Karen reveals that Juan is the one who actually hit the table and knocked all the food over. Mm-hmm. Ashley yells, "There's a lot of weaves in here. We got to put that thing out." And then... and then Karen says, "Juan Dixon, you come to me woman to woman if you have a problem with me."
Wait, really quick. Have you seen... I don't know if it's a clip from the Kardashians or something, because I don't watch it, but I saw, like, a video of Khloe Kardashian showing, like, her extension drawers.
Oh, no, I've not seen that.
She has, like big drawers, like, the size of, like, your dresser, like, multiple drawers like that, with, like, clear, like...
acrylic boxes?
Like, yeah, with, like, each extension's in, like, bags, labeled, and then there's pictures of the extensions on the outside of the box for each type of, like, color, each type of length, all this stuff, and then, like, I guess she has, like, nail polish colors that she likes wearing with the certain, so there's, like, samples of the nail polish colors on the pictures and on the extensions. Like, it's crazy. And each box has, like, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 different types of extensions in there. And she has, like, 4 drawers, like, of your dresser size of those boxes.
That's crazy.
She was like, she's like, the more I talk about this, the crazier it sounds. Like, it's pretty crazy. Anyways.
No, it's so wild. Like, they're literally just, like, living little, like, Polly Pockets. You, like, stick a different, like...
Well, just the
combination of stuff on.
The amount of effort that takes, too, to, like, put... Like, I don't know. It was crazy.
I'm guessing that's just what you do when you're ultra rich. It's like you have nothing to do but, like, buy, like, a shit ton of every type of thing and then, like, organize it.
I guess so.
Yeah, this moment was funny. I was like, the show is really fun when it's, like, light. It's been so long since, like...
I feel like Karen's really carrying the show, though. She's, like, trying really hard to, like, make something at least kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like, man, it's rough out here. You notice that Candace almost seems to be on a completely different show than everyone else?
Huh?
It seems like Candace is, like, on a different show than everyone else. Like, she's, like... This is the first group event that she's even a part of. It's, like...
It's only the second event, right? Or no? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, they'll do things that are, like... Like, the workout day that Karen had, I feel like probably could have and should have been everyone, but it wasn't. Like, it's very much, like... Yeah. There's, like, distinct groups, you know? And they mostly don't get together, and when they do, like, they can't even have fun together. It's just like this, you know?
Yeah. That was funny when Karen's, like, telling Ray, like, he's the one who started this fire, and he's like, what? Really? Like, he's taking it so seriously?
Yeah. She's like, Juan's an athlete, but falls his big ass into my food? It's on between you and I, Juan. So now Aneka is saying that after all this, she's telling Mia, she's like, I mean, after all this, I still don't even have a problem with her. It's like, then why approach it like this? It basically, and then she starts acting like Wendy is mad that she said she didn't know her. And she goes, what's wrong with saying that I met her, but I don't know her? It's like, she doesn't care that you don't know her. She doesn't care. You're the one who seems to be. Oh, so you're just repeating what I say?
Girl.
So Wendy's like telling Candace, and she's like, and I was so nice to her at Ashley's thing too, and I even gave her my phone number. And then she, like, comes out, like, with her guns, and Wendy said, basically, sorry that God spent overtime on me and clocked out at lunch on you. And so then I was like, Aneka brings up the unfollowing, like, I'm officially dead, you know? And she said that it was the day after they were told about the shrine. So again, you are admitting that during this time you were daily checking this shit so that you knew exactly what day it happened. Weirdo. Embarrassing. Weird. Never should have said it. That was a big mistake. Huge. I'll never respect you. So, this is what I realized, that it was Facebook, and I was like, okay, I feel like this takes it to a whole... To me, Facebook is probably, like, the least personal social media. Like, everybody, like, I don't know, I'm friends with, like, tons of people on Facebook. Like, I don't, like, personally know most of them. Like, it's not like I have everyone's phone number or something that I'm Facebook friends with. Like,
I don't know, it's kind of weird, because I would have said the opposite, kind of. Because I feel like people put the most posts on Facebook from what, like, my experience, right? I'm not on Facebook a lot, but, like, I feel like people put the most updates on Facebook. They're also tagged on people's posts. Like, there's a lot of, like, oh, like, this family event, this, and, like, they're tagged in all these things, and, like, but it would be really annoying to be following somebody on Facebook who you don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're on Instagram, it's kind of more, like, it's more, what is the word? Curated? Yeah. So it's more, like, aesthetic, so you can follow people you don't really know, like, it's kind of, like, you know. Whereas I feel like Facebook is more, like, more frequent updates, more smaller updates, more things that you'd only want to see if it's someone that you, like, care to keep tabs with, which is not most people, you know?
And I also see it being a place where it would be more natural to unfollow people because, like, okay, I'm probably, like, Facebook friends with, like, some person that I had one class with in college,
right?
You know? And then maybe, and honestly, most of those people, I just leave them because I'm like, oh, I remember her or whatever. But, like, if I went and unfollowed her, that wouldn't be weird. It would just be like, we're not in each other's lives and, like, I don't really need to see what you're doing. So it's like...
Also, the unfollowing part of it is weird. Because, and I don't know if this is just, like, semantics, but, like, if you follow people on Instagram, you know, you're friends with people on Facebook.
Yeah, so even the phrasing unfollow.
Yeah, like, you can unfollow somebody. Like if you and I were Facebook friends and I hated seeing all your posts, I could unfollow you but still be friends with you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to see your stuff. Yeah.
I think they mean unfriended.
I know, but then it's like, you guys are, like, kind of, I don't know, it's kind of confusing the way that you're saying this, because it's like, oh, he unfollowed him, and it's like...
It's just weird that he ever even knew that they were friends on Facebook. It's
right,
like...
and it's like, if they are saying the following thing, it's even weirder, because maybe you'd notice if you aren't friends with somebody, because if you're friends, that means that you're mutually friends, and if someone unfriends you, then, like, you go to their page and you'd be able to tell.
Yeah, well, like, so Eddie is, like, a public figure at this point, right? So, like, I can go and follow his Facebook page if I want to, but it doesn't make us friends? Is that right?
I believe so.
So, like, I guess I could see Ike noticing Eddie, because he is a public figure, like, you've noticed that his posts are on your page or something, and then I guess if he unfollowed you, if that somehow changed that you might notice, but... Again, he said that, like, he noticed it one day to the next. About somebody that you apparently don't even really know. Like, that's just really weird. Really weird.
And even, like, when they get into it, and he's like... Did you follow me on Facebook or not? It's like, you're not even saying, do you know me or not? You're saying, like, did you follow me at one point?
Like, were we ever Facebook friends? It kind of reminds me of, there's, like, this funny thing that people will do all the time where it'll become news now, like, celebrity unfollowings and stuff like that, particularly on reality TV. And a lot of times where they're like, so-and-so unfollowed so-and-so on, you know, Real Housewives of OC. And then that person will come out and be like, no, I just never followed any of my cast members from the show, so that's why it shows that I'm, you know, like, there are things like that sometimes where it's like, someone was not following someone that you would have thought they would be following in the first place, and then when you go to check, it's not anymore. It's such a silly conversation to even have. Okay, so here's what happens in the scene. Eddie hears them talking about that, and he's like, what? So, like, he goes to talk to Ike, and he's like, when did I do that? Like, when did I unfollow you? And Ike just keeps, like, putting his hands up like this, and he's, like, not really clearly saying, right? And someone at one point asked, I think Mia asked Aneka, does Eddie know him? And she goes, he knows of him. I mean, I think it's like the same situation with me and Wendy. It's like, which is that you guys don't know each other. Like, you already said that you don't know Wendy enough to have a problem with her. So it sounds like it's the same things for your husbands. And Eddie's like, where's Juan? Like, Juan, you just introduced us, did you not? And then Ike is like, oh, so he's like, so we were never friends on Facebook? And Eddie, and he's the one who's, like, being aggressive with her, right? And then he's like, oh, so you don't know me, Eddie? So you don't know me, Eddie? Say it with your chest. And Eddie's just face just looks so, like, confused, like, I'm not trying to, like, insult this guy. Like, why is he, like, combatively asking me, like, oh, you don't know me? It's like, yeah, we don't know each other, right? Is what it seems like. So Ike says, let me explain, and tells his wife to stop talking. What I found really interesting in this scene was that Eddie and Wendy are, like, very united, and Ike and Aneka are fighting with each other.
And they even show future scenes of her being like, stop talking. Like,
yes, like,
the way they talk to each other is just like,
no, ooh. There's something bad going on with them. But especially when, like, you guys are fighting with each other against someone, you should not be fighting each other in front of people in this scenario specifically.
But that kind of goes into my theory about her trying to link with Robin, because I do feel like her and her husband are weird. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she saw the opportunity to be like, oh, Robin and her husband are also weird, so we should, like, she's trying to like vibe with her and be like, oh, see, like everyone like talks about our relationship. It's like
totally. She's like, me and my husband hate each other too. That's normal. Yeah. So Eddie's like, again tells him like, I just met you here today, and Nneka says, don't get in my man's face. It's like, he didn't move at all. I checked it several times. Eddie did not move any closer to her man.
I thought she said it to Wendy.
Oh.
But it was also weird because, like, maybe. It was basically, like, Eddie...
But I felt like Wendy just walked up and stood in the same place that Nneka was standing next to her.
Well, that's exactly what it was. It was, like, the four of them standing, like, the two guys next to each other and the two girls next to each other, and, like, they were all kind of close, and she was like, don't get in my husband's face, and then Wendy was kind of, like, she kind of backed up and was like, what? Like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
She was really trying to start something. She was really trying to be like, look, she's coming at me, like, oh.
She was, and her husband was raising his voice all about Facebook friends. Like, this doesn't warrant a raised voice, sir. Like... Oh my god! Like, if Matt like told somebody like,
were we friends on Facebook or not?
Like if Matt like told someone like, you unfollowed Priscilla on Facebook, I would be mortified.
I would be mortified.
I would run out crying.
I would have to flee the country.
Like, why did you tell them?
You were supposed to tell them. No, it's honestly so silly, and it's like. I feel like Eddie was making this face of, like, how I would feel in that situation where you're just, like, it seems so silly that you're kind of dumbfounded. You're kind of like,
yes.
What? Like, what? Like, and
he, then, like, dumbfounded.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, like, he looks like a trapped man. It's like,
yeah.
That's not
so he reminds her of the guy in Get Out looking for freedom. Can we do Get Out 2 and free Eddie? I think you tried. You're not funny. So, on top of everything else that happens, your one-liner wasn't funny. Because, like, all the things I've said about Mia and stuff like that, Mia makes me laugh occasionally, though. Like, she will say something. She's like, of course Juan's here. He doesn't have a job. He's like, it was TV or pickleball. You know, like...
And she's more, like, Mia can kind of be, like, endearing. Like, oh, Mia. Like, just... Oh,
if she learned to laugh at herself a little bit more, like, not take herself so seriously, like, when shade gets thrown her way, she could actually be okay.
No,
like,
I still find a benefit to Mia being on the show. She's not, like, you know, like, she's not... Like, no offense, but Charisse. Like, Charisse to me, I'm like, why are you there? I literally don't understand. But Mia is just, I don't know. But, yeah, their vibe was pretty weird. And it was pretty weird that, like, this is the first time we're really even seeing her husband, like, interact with people much. Or even them really interact with each other much. Because with the only scene that we've seen them really in was them, like, looking at their house or whatever. It was really brief. But, yeah, I don't know. Left a bad taste in my mouth. They're kind of weird. And I also love how, like, people can't really come for Eddie for anything. So when they do, it's, like... It always has to do with him, like, smiling. It's like, oh, he looks like he's trapped. Oh, like, he's being happy Eddie. It's like...
Yeah, it's always just kind of, like, this is an act somehow, and Wendy is controlling him, and, like, he needs to be saved. It's like...
And it's like, if, like, Eddie respects Wendy as a person... And that is first, like, oh, like, she's controlling him. It's like, I don't think that seems controlling. I think he just has a normal amount of respect for his wife as a human being, which you're supposed to have, and not telling her to, let me talk, shut up. Like, that's weird. Like, that was weird.
Like, something tells me that, like, Eddie and Wendy, at the end of the day, do not take any of this shit that serious. Like, I think that, like, when the fight is happening, Wendy can get into one of her little kind of Wendy modes and stuff like that. But I think when they get in the car, they look at each other and laugh, just like they did about the
full Wendy.
Just like the happy Eddie of it all. I think they get in the car and laugh, and they're like, let's go pick up fast food and, like, hang out with our kids, and that's it. I think Nneka and her husband got in the car, and it is, like, bad. It is awkward. It is...
Even the fact that there's this, like, hyped up about, like, following, unfollowing... Yeah. With someone they don't even know, like, just makes you feel like you guys, like, don't like each other and you guys don't have, like, fun in your life. Because, like, why are you even sitting around looking at something like this? This is so fucking weird.
Her traveling husband, who she doesn't, like, even see that often, you guys are spending any of your time, like, looking at your
While
Facebook
he's traveling, he's,
together.
like, refreshing his Facebook friends. He's like, no!
Like, okay. But the last thing that happens, Nneka tries to escalate the situation even more and just says directly to Wendy that your mom is a witch. Like...
I audibly gasped. I was like, I don't know
what. Why are we talking about people's moms? Like, Candace was literally dragged for an entire season for saying "Yo, mama" to Mia, and people were, like, literally debating, like, how bad that actually was. And this girl can come on and, like, make actual, like, specific accusations against Wendy's actual mom, not just, like, the phrase your mom, but, like, Susan, like, by name.
Susan Io.
Yeah, like, I honestly feel like any hope that I had for this whole thing kind of blowing over really quick is kind of gone. I think that
it's definitely gone. And now I know that her intentions were not to be cool with Wendy, so that changes things.
Definitely. I think it's funny that she told Robin, like, yeah, I expected Wendy to be aggressive with me. And it's, like, kind of like how you were with her.
Yeah.
The first opportunity that you had.
I just said that. You're going to copy me?
Honestly, I feel like if things had gone a little different at Ashley's and there had been an opportunity for her to start fighting with her then, that she would have done it then. It just seems very obvious that it was like, this was my intention. Like, if anybody seems like they only want one of them out of Wendy and Nneka on the show, it seems more like it's Nneka.
Say that again? If anyone what?
I said if anybody, like how Giselle said, like, oh, she wants her to be the only one from her tribe on her show. Like, I don't really think that it seems like that of either. But if anything, it seems more like Nneka doesn't want Wendy to be on the show than vice versa. Or I guess just wants her there to, like, fight with her. That's, again, though, like, Nneka needs to have some kind of a plan, though. Like, usually when you come for somebody, you want something out of it, right? You want an apology. You want somebody to stop calling you, like, something like that. Like,
I know, she and her husband need to have, like, a strategy meeting. Like, what?
Like, Wendy doesn't just, like, go up and start just, like, antagonizing Mia for no reason. It's when Mia, like, inserts herself into something that's going on, and then Wendy, like, says something rude to her to sort of... But Nneka just fully comes in here, targets one person, and it's not like, you don't want a resolution, you don't want an apology, you don't even know her well enough to have a problem with her, so there's not really anything that she can do to, like, end this and move on from it, since you're acting like someone who has a problem but claiming you don't have a problem, so then there's no solution to be had.
I know. It's like they don't know them well enough to have a problem, but they know them well enough that them unfriending them or them acting like they don't know them
really offended them.
It's like...
I just can't wait till all the people that Nneka thinks are, like, her friends, that she's just kissing Ashley's ass so hard and stuff. And I really appreciated that, and I really appreciated you, like, coming clean about that. It's like, really? Like, so you had no problem with her making you, like, look bad, basically? You have all this smoke for Wendy's family coming after your in-law, supposedly, but, like, what Ashley did, wrong. Like, you really appreciate. Like, I just can't wait till they turn on you.
She chose wrong. I remember thinking in all this stuff, too, I was like, Candace is, like, the kind of friend that you really want to have, because she had
Candace stood up for Wendy perfectly.
She stood up for her, but she also was, like, reasonable and was like, you know, like,
no, she didn't make it. She didn't make it so that her and Nneka are now enemies,
right? And she didn't, like, escalate it or, like, make. She was like, this is what it is, and, like, blah blah blah, and she's like, she follows up with her, like, actions, what she's saying. Like, her and Wendy are cool and, like, they're friends, so she does have her back. Like, Ashley's not gonna fucking do that to you. So, like, I don't know.
Fuck no, Ashley's not gonna do that to you.
I don't know what you think is gonna happen, but...
Ashley would throw her head back laughing the way she did about that slow comment for Mia about anybody on this cast at the first opportunity. Like, she has no loyalty to any of these people.
I wonder if now Mia and Wendy are gonna have a lunch and Mia's gonna be like, so now that we're best friends, I do need to talk about the fact that you call me slow.
Oh, I know. That'll be funny. It'll be funny to see, like, how, like, is Wendy going to be just really nice to Mia now that she has, like, a new... Because it's sad. Like, Wendy just constantly has, like, beef with people that she didn't start. Like, that's the thing with Mia and the whole drink thing. It's, like, that was about Mia coming after her for talking to Peter. Like, it's just so weird. Like, she's not doing anything to, like, get the kind of vitriol that she has, but she has to, like, juggle, like... I feel like she's basically trying to juggle the ratio of the cast of, like, if I can just keep at least as many people that, like, neutral, don't hate me as opposite. And so it's like, now that I've got this new girl on my back, I have to pick out of Robin, Giselle, and Mia, who I'm going to try to be okay with. It's like, Mia, I pick you. Get up.
She's literally holding her arm. Like, she's in trouble. Pulling her onto the pickleball court. Which I love. But, yeah, I don't know. I think...
I honestly, like, I'm sorry, and it's kind of sad because I really like old Giselle, and like I miss her when I've seen like season 1 and season 2, and I think for a while I was like, is it possible to get that back? And I just don't think that it is. And I think that I honestly think we would have like a brand new show with just that one little change.
I know.
That would sort of shake things up, and people would just feel more open to like starting fresh. Especially Giselle. What I would love to see is her not get first seat at the reunion for once. There's just no incentive on her part in any way to even be entertaining, to not be so set in her ways, to do anything whatsoever. And I'm really tired of it. Like, I honestly feel like it's ruining the show. And it's funny because, like, even though she's not, like, a big mix in it, I just still feel her influence on the vibe. There are just people who know, like, I think that Mia knows, for example. I think Mia would like to be cool with Wendy. I think that she knows that she can't really be friends with Giselle and Robin if she is.
Yeah. I think that too. Yeah. I don't know. It's
like, we have to be open to change, right? Like, we have to be open to possibility. Life is really boring when, like, you know exactly what's going to happen. I feel like every season it's the exact same people against the exact same people. That gets really boring.
I know, and it's, like, weird because I feel like 95% of the time Giselle just really bothers me, but then there's 5% of me that's, like, I don't know. I was hoping
I want
something,
old Giselle. I don't want fake Jason
will
storylines.
happen, like,
I don't want to see Jason on my TV anymore. Like, I'm getting mad. I don't like seeing him on Winter House, and then they're bringing up the Giselle thing. It all just feels like an...
They are?
Yes. Like, I mean, very, like, slightly, and he's like, oh, we don't have a title on it, you know? It all just feels like they're all advertising for each other's shows, and it's just stupid. And, like, the two of them together, it's
a joke. A bad joke at that. Yeah, I'm over that. Literally the only thing that would really be interesting at this point with Giselle is for her to take any type of accountability with Candace or Wendy. Doesn't need to be both, just somebody. And, like, have any change of heart. Anything.
Yes.
Like, look, I know how it looked, blah, blah, blah. Something.
Like, for her to just soften the tiniest amount and be able to share, like, at some point when, like, Karen and Ashley are fighting, for you to be able to look at Wendy and to just share a giggle. That's it. Like, I'm not asking for much at all, but, like, this stank face, like, vibe that you have all the time.
Every time they walk in and everyone's like, they like pretend like they don't see each other, and it's like this weird, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, this is really stupid. And especially when it's like, it becomes like, I'm mad at you because you got mad at me for something that I did. You know? It's like, okay, like,
no, nothing should be this deep, and I don't know.
We need something.
We need something bad. It's starting to feel really repetitive. For sure.
Definitely.
Okay,
right. So the scenes that they show for next week.
Yeah.
I don't know if I missed her if they didn't show it, but you know what Robin is crying about?
No, but made me laugh. I'm always the bad guy. I haven't done anything to you guys. I think she's just like drunk in Austin.
It made sense to laugh.
It did make sense to laugh.
That's funny.
She kind of, it seemed like she was kind of dressed like Barbie, like when her and Ken, like first arrive on the beach in like their little, like, that really bright, like kind of 90s, like roller skating outfit type thing. Her outfit was kind of reminiscent of that as she's like sitting on a curb pouting and crying.
I did. Can't
wait. Yeah, can't wait for that. Yeah, everyone hang in there. I see a lot of people saying that it's boring. I don't think that it's boring. Like, I know that there's still good stuff there, but it's like, I mean, is stale the same word? Stale is the same word as boring. It's like, I'm not bored, but like,
it's like stagnant though. It's like
the
same.
We're plateauing. Also, like, I need change.
And I kind of want to get away from like these new dramas. Like, the drama with Deborah was funny because she's just whatever. But like, and now we're having this new drama. I want
resolutions on the old drama. That's exactly.
I need some
that's exactly what it is.
Old.
And that's what I felt like when Karen and Giselle were giggling. I almost felt kind of annoyed because it's like, yeah, that's like cute to see you guys like be friendly and whatever. But it basically seems like you guys are just bringing in new people so that you don't have, like, Giselle and Wendy need to come to a coexisting place. I'm not saying friendship, coexisting place. Like, Candace and Robin probably need to do that too. Robin and Wendy probably need to do that. Like, and again, not all of them need to happen at the same time, but there needs to be something. There needs to be some little thing where, like, older cast members who have not gone to lunch in a while are able to go to lunch, and like to just bring in new people that like we don't even know Aneka. Like, I don't want to spend this much time talking about her.
I know. It's honestly, yeah, it's too much.
I've met her, but I don't know her, okay? And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
I know of her, all right? And she's not even friends with me on Facebook, so.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. Well, we've got a good rest of the season to look forward to, I'm sure. They're going to hear our cries. Like I said, I'll talk to Karen. I can see Karen. I think that she's aware of that. I think Karen, like, gets the pulse of the audience a little bit, and she's like... That was what she was kind of trying to say is, like, look at me and Robin, right? Like, we don't like each other, but she still showed up to this event and we're still going to coexist. And, like, I feel like she was trying to say that more of you need to start doing that.
Yeah.
I hope that's what...
But then, of course, like, Robin has to take offense to it. It's like...
Of course. And then Ashley has to take it over and start a fight between new people that she wants to see a fight between. But it's like... it's funny that I don't mention Ashley and Candace, because, like, them, I don't really feel like they do coexist. That's the thing. They do it fine. Like, so it's fine if they don't get along. I don't care about that. It's the half the group trying not to look at each other that's so awkward. It just makes me feel awkward. It reminds me of, like, not getting along with people and having, like, several people in a room that I'm trying not to even say hi. It's just weird. Just get over it.
It's awkward, and it doesn't give opportunities for new dramas to happen, because, like, I get that's what reality TV is, though. It's, like, it's drama, it's all these things, but, like, if you have drama that's so bad that now you guys can't even talk, then it's, like, it's okay. So now 4 out of the 10 relationships are not talking, so...
No, and actually, honestly, like... the perfect example is Beverly Hills. I keep acting like I'm going to end this, but the perfect example is Beverly Hills, the Fox Force 5 that turned into 4 on Beverly Hills. It was Kyle, Dorit, Erica, and Lisa Rinna, and it was them always against everybody else, like Sutton and Garcelle and Crystal, and it just gets boring to see 4 people who will never go against each other because they basically have some kind of alliance, which is what Giselle, Robin, and Ashley have started doing. Mm-hmm. And now on Beverly Hills, they got rid of Lisa, and it's completely shaken things up. This season is so much more interesting to watch. The alliances between, like, you just see different combinations of people hanging out who name them. And it's like, finally, like, we have a show. Sometimes just removing one. And that's the thing, like, Lisa was really entertaining for a long time. And I even think that there could be a time, maybe she comes back, who knows. But I think Giselle needs at least a hiatus, a pause, whatever. She's this old person who feels like her spot is secure and she really doesn't need to do anything but, like, show up and, like, shimmy her shoulders a little bit and get her paycheck. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
Never enough. So, like, let's do something about this, right?
Never enough.
I feel like my prayers have been answered already. I'm excited.
I just want to say that I noticed that they stopped doing the To Be Continued as much, and I feel like that was because they listened to our podcast. Bravo definitely listens to our podcast, and they heard our cries.
1,000,000%. So this one actually did warrant a To Be Continued, though, I think, right? Because she called her mom a witch, and now Wendy has to punch her?
Oh, yeah. Maybe Mia will run in and throw a drink at her. Just really...
Oh, maybe Wendy carries, along with her rosary, like, some holy water in her purse. She can hand it to Mia to throw at her. Yeah. Do a little tag team action. Okay. All right, you guys. Until next week. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.